Hey Dragon Ball Super players, Team FOE/PPG here with Travis Washburn. Just finished his run to the top 8 today. Talk about your matchups today.
Let's see. Round 1, I played against a Red Broly. I 2-0'd it pretty quick. It was it was really weird. He missed Vampa turn 1. He just didn't hit anything on the very beginning, so he couldn't get going. And Bulma, I was playing Bulma. Your matchup against Red Broly, as long as you can make it past the first couple turns, you're fine. You just have to not die by turn 2. So it was pretty easy matchup there. Round 2, I played against Rios. He was also playing Red Broly. He opened much better. And I ended up dying actually to the Piccolo that says it can't be blocked. I had a field of blockers, and he plays that, and I can't block it. I completely forgot about that card. It's just because it's new. If you're playing Bulma, make sure to be aware of that. Round 3, I played against Vegex. 2-0'd that. It was a pretty quick game. I won. He got baited into a Gogeta play, a rival Gogeta. And then round 4, I played against Rodriguez. Super close game. Actually, a really, really close game. I wish people would say that. Where this card really came into shine. This is the heart and soul of this deck, which I'll get into here on the profile.
All right, cool.
And then I lost to Eddie in top 8. We went to game 3. He's playing Vegex. And he was just able to get me out. Pretty close.
Sounds good, man. All right, let's launch right into this deck profile.
All right, I'm just going to start out with the unisons, because they're easy to get out of. First off, Jiren. He's just the best 3-drop unison that you can play in this deck, because you have a lot of ways to add markers to him. Sin Shenron's okay, but if you've seen a lot of recent Bulma decks, Jiren just has a lot of utility. Be the next neg a lot is really, really strong. And then the whole part of this deck is good old Vegito. This is my favorite Unison card. The whole big thing on this is his Neg 2, which is Neg 2 says that until the end of your opponent's next turn, your opponent cannot play cards with effects. They cannot overwhelm, they cannot Union Fusion, they cannot swap. They have to hard cast every card. They can't counterplay, which is really good against blue. They can't play any their counterattacks. So the whole point of this deck really is to get him on the field and just do that effect every single turn for the rest of the game. Alright, let me go into the battle cards. So the main goal of this deck, you have to survive till turn 4, so I'm playing the Earthling package, which is Baba. If you don't know what she does, when you play her, you can send one of the Earthling zombies, which is Spike, Bandages, or Grandpa to the graveyard, and then you play Bandages from your drop. So it lets you bring out basically 2 free blockers while also filtering your deck. Then Bandages, he's just, he comes off of her. Whenever he is KO'd, he plays Spike from your graveyard. It does have to be KO'd, so removal doesn't, if they neg it, you get sad. But the big things with that play, we'll see later on. Here's one of the big cards from the new draft box, Shu.
Talk about this card.
Now, this card puts in a ton of work. So it's just a counterplay that just counterplays any 5k or lower, which seems really weak. But if you think about it in this meta, if you're going first, you charge against Red Broly, and they go effect Vampa, you can just play Shu, and it literally hits every possible target for their Vampa. It hits all the Wonder Brawlers. It hits Dark Power Backline Saiyan, which is a really big counter to this deck. So you can counterplay that, and then on top of that, it's a blocker.
That's some 2000 IQ stuff,
so
man.
This card's actually really strong. Next up, 2 Videl. With just so much aggro in the format, you want some nice cheap negates. You can't always rely on the bigger cost ones, so just extra play. And then 2 Videl. This one here has a lot of what it does when you play it. You put an Earthling or Saiyan from your drop to the bottom of your deck to add a 3 or lower Saiyan to your hand. There's a lot of cool targets that you can cycle with this. You can pick up your Nappa super combos, or the big thing in this deck is you actually can pick up this Bardock here, which we'll get into later. But it just allows you to cycle this up and very consistent.
Very cool.
Then for Nappa, Nappa is just free blocker that also allows you to a rival Gogeta, which we also are playing. So it's super good. You can keep cycling with Videls, so you can just keep hitting a free blocker out of nowhere. For Android 17, this is the best negate in this deck by far, because you can either do the negate with Videl and pick up all your Saiyans, or you can use that to turn into this, which turns into this. So you get to negate attack plus get 2 free blockers, one that keeps floating into another one. So it's just, this card is insane. It is definitely the best card of the deck outside of the Vegito. It's super good. Next up, 3 Bunny Girl. This one, whenever an Earthling is popped, you can play this for free and play an Earthling, which again you can keep cycling out Babas. Like you really just want to keep cycling to this. It's like they kill you play this into this into this. All of a sudden you just generated 3 blockers out of nothing.
Nuts.
Yeah, so it's really crazy. Then we get 2 Spike. It's just the next part of the package. You only need to play 2 of this one because like you don't need it as much as you need the bandages, and obviously Baba you play 4 of because it's the most important. And plus it just keeps cycling. And then 2 Grandpa Gohan. Spike turns into this. He's just a big 30k beater. You get to play him for free, just not right away. You have to wait a few turns, and then you just have a big free 30k on the field.
Would you have changed those ratios at all today?
No, I think 4-3-2-2 is the perfect ratio. I don't think you need to change anything at all.
Cool.
You can maybe play 2 bandages, but I just feel like he's the most important one outside of Baba, so you don't want to do Baba in your life. Then 2 Kaken. The only reason I still actually keep playing this card is because in case you play Evoker, like Legends here, you kind of have to have it in the deck so you have some sort of out to the Invoker. So it just has to be in there.
Fair enough.
2 Yamcha. This is the worst card today. I don't even know if I'd play this at all. It's actually pretty weak.
Why is that?
Most games, I'm not even playing a unison until turn 4, so for the first multiple turns the game is just dead. And then even then, I played against the Gotenks Slayer, I counterplay one of his Gotenks to kill his token, and it just gets popped immediately by the Gotenks itself. So it didn't really do anything.
You're right.
It's just kind of weak right now. It was a lot stronger before. Then obviously the big star is Bardock. Okay, so this guy, the whole point of you're playing this on 4. You try to get your awaken turn on the turn you play this, so you can stay alive with topos or something like that. And then on turn 5, you play this to add 3. And whenever you play, he has deflect, which is super good. He just adds 3 counters to him, which then you neg 2 him again. So now you basically turn his neg 2 into a +1. And then the turn after that, you just keep using Videl to add back this to add more counters. And you can keep playing the Videl off of this, so you can negate, play the Videl, get this back, use it to get more counters.
Wow.
And then on top of that, it's a 20k blocker, which is pretty relevant.
Not bad.
Basically, the main goal is after turn 4, your opponent has to actually play the game. No free cards for them. All right, we're playing fair Dragon Ball here.
Except you, of course.
Except for me, I can play for free. It doesn't affect me. All right. 2 Topo. Only played, even though it's a really aggro-heavy format, I would much rather play Ender at 17 over Topo in almost every situation, because it basically pluses you hard versus negging you 1 card. But it's still nice to have it there, because sometimes you just need that floodgate stop. I do side the other 2. I don't know, it was okay. I only played it a couple times today. Ender 17 is way better in the deck. 2 Vegeta. It's just more ways to board clear, which is what you do against really big wide decks, like Med decks, stuff like that. Once you try to make it to turn 3, you play this and wipe the board, or you play the Kaioken Goku.
And it's still a blocker, so that's pretty cool.
And it's a 90k blocker. It's pretty good. But they're board wipes. They're 3-mana board wipes. They're good. Next up, the big addition to the deck was Arrival Gogeta. This was mainly added in here because, your only other red-green in the deck is Nappa, but you can keep cycling your Nappas. You play it once, it comes into play, you can use it again, or you can Videl it back, so you can almost always have access to it. And this was your big play against decks like Vegex. Like the Vegex I played in round 3, he went all in on a swing with the 4-drop one that they take 2 life, deal 1 to me. He dropped his whole hand on it, and I just grabbed that, kill it. I won the game. And Eddie almost walked into it. He literally comboed half his hand. He got 70k, and then he's like, "Wait, you play Gogeta?" He stopped it. So if he comboed 5k more, I actually won the game. So he got to see my deck list before the event. So if he comboed 5k more, I knocked Eddie out right there. Yeah, but he remembered at the last minute. And he's a 20k blocker that also has double strike. So
convenient.
Yep. And then good old Frieza. I would like to play the Broly Secret, but you can only do that if you have, 35Ks, which in this build I don't. I do have a build that plays the Gogeta engine. You can play Broly in it. But this still steals a lot of games. I got it against Jonathan Rodriguez. In game 1, he went down to 4 life, and I just dropped this, and he didn't have another negate. And he does quadruple strike, so
fair enough.
It's good. It's super good.
Let's launch right into side deck.
Yeah, then we go into side here. Side deck 1 Mai. It's just there for in case you play against any of the blue decks. or anything that has Dimension Magic. You can also grab this back with Android 17, so you don't really need to play more than one. 3 Black Masayan. It's only really in here for when you go first versus Red Barley, because it's only really good for this deck on turn 1. Because after then, they're just going to play the Piccolo Unison and just neg it and it dies. But if you go first and you play this, it at least stops their turn 1 play. You have, between this, Shu, and Gogeta, you pretty much can live through the turn 1 Big Swarm, which all you got to do is make it to the late game in that matchup. 2 Violent Rays. This is in here for in case I play against Dark Brawly, or it's actually really good against Green Gotenks, because all it is 25Ks. And like, it's another option that for your turn 4 when you play this and then Awaken, this is basically a stop to protect it.
Like a baby topo.
It's a baby topo. There's ways to keep this alive, because if you make it so they can't swing at 20Ks, they aren't going to do a lot. Because they have to pay them for free, or they have to actually pay mana for cards. So 1 Max Round Kamehameha. I actually wanted to play 2, but I couldn't find one. I thought I had one on me, and I didn't, so I just put 1 in. It's for like Invoker and a couple other things that you just get some Chenra on. It's just a good card. The other 2 Topos for when you're playing against like super hyper aggro like Vegex. 2 Denial, stuff like Invoker, and just other like rogue decks, because Denial is just good against random stuff, but it's not very good against any like the big meta decks right now, but just there in case you needed it. And then I started in 2 of each Gogeta, just in case I played against something like super slow, like a blue deck or like other things that I can do live. Because this can also add counters to Vegito, so like you can go play this on turn 4, play this on 5, like you just cast it for 5, and then evolve, and you just keep adding counters. Like I said, I do have a build that plays the whole engine that I was going to play today, but I ended up not playing it. There's definitely cool things you can do with it.
That's pretty cool. Are there any major changes you've made to this deck?
Nothing too major. I do want to try to main deck the Gogeta. It is a lot to fickle with because you got to try to make it fit. Like I was playing a 60 card variant that played both engines. But it's I think if you play focusing on this card, it was just a Gogeta based deck might be better. I just gotta mess around with it more. But
cool.
This card is broken.
And what would you say your best and worst matchups are with this deck?
Worst matchup is definitely, in my opinion, Vegex, because like it's just coin flip. If you draw really good and you stop them from killing you, then you are going to win. Your late game is better than almost any deck in the format, but you have to get there.
Right.
So it's like I said, I was telling Eddie during our game, there's just no middle ground. You either get blown out and die on turn 2, or you survive through it and then you're not going to lose for the rest of the game because you have way too much defense.
Good point.
As for your best matchup, other than Vegex and Red Brawly, which I know those are like the 2 biggest decks, everything else kind of, in my opinion, seems favored. Invoker's kind of like 55 in their favor, but like it's hard to, when you play this, they can't Victory Strike you. They have to win through burn damage, which you can do, but it at least gives you an edge.
Yep.
In that matchup, you just try to stay above 7 life, because like they can do a 7 life burn, but it's really hard. So you basically try to stay at 7 the whole time with blockers, and then just loop this so they can't Victory Strike you.
Good point. Cool.
That's what you want to do in that matchup. It's pretty rough, but in general, like I feel like if you try against any long game, any hand control, you actually have so much draw power because your Bulma just draws 2, because everything a blocker. So you don't really in fear of like being starved out in other control matchups.
Cool.
So, and obviously against blue, if you play against Baby or SS3 or what is it, Soul Striker, if you neg 2, they can't do their counter, like the counter attacks to come into play. They just can't. So that matchup's basically free. For the first 3 turns, just don't attack them so that they can't play their counter plays. You play this turn 4, and all of a sudden they can't play them anyway. And like then you start attacking them with all your 30Ks. So,
Clever.
Yeah.
Cool, man. You got any final shout-outs?
Shout out to obviously my team, Gamerz R Us. Shout out to all my boys on my team. Shout out to Butters. He actually did help me build this deck a little bit, but my main idea. And shout out to PBG and FOE for coming down. And yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for such an incredibly creative deck list, and catch you at the next event.